welcome back to Never Enough Novels. I have a massive book haul to share with you today. I spent some time at Barnes & Noble and got to shop their 50% off sale. Plus, I have some new books from publishers that I'm really excited to share with you today. I'm going to link all of these books down below, so if you find any that you're interested in, you can grab them from Amazon and help support this channel. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these or if they're on your TBR lists. And make sure you hit like and subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos like this in the future. Let's dive right into the two that I got from Barnes & Noble. I honestly could spend so much time in that store. It's so fun to just walk around and see what they have, but I particularly was excited by their 50% off hardcover sale, and I found some really exciting books that have the sprayed edges, which I honestly just adore. I cannot resist a sprayed edge, and I'm very here for that trend that seems to be popping up on a lot of books lately. So the first book that I got is called Past, Present, and Future by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is actually the sequel to Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow, which is a YA book that was published a little while ago. I really like this author. She does a mix of YA books and just regular adult romances, and honestly, anything that she's written, I've loved. I feel like she flies a bit under the radar for some reason. I don't see her like on social media or Bookstagram or anything very often, but she is one of my absolute favorites. So I was really excited to see one of her recent books like get this sprayed edge treatment and see it popped up at Barnes & Noble. Like I said, this one is the sequel to one of her previous YA books, so it does pick up where that one left off. I highly recommend that. It was one of the ones that I loved. But our main characters are Neil and Rowan, and they were two enemies in high school, but through the last book, they kind of found a way to get past their hatred and ended up becoming friends and then something more. So this book picks up where they left off, but now that their summer is over and they are heading off to college, they're in different places but trying to make this relationship work. So in Boston, Rowan is eager to be among other novelists and learn from a creative writing professor that she adores. But in New York, Neil is kind of embracing the chaos of the city. He is starting to click with a new friend group, but he's also getting some challenges from his past, and his changing mental health is leaving him a little bit adrift in the city, and he's not quite sure how to talk about it with Rowan. The story takes place over the course of a year as they deal with their phone calls and weekend visits and trying to manage this long-distance relationship. They sort of learn to fall for each other all over again in this new situation while also dealing with the uncertainty of their new lives. I am so excited to pick up where this last story left off and get to see even more of Neil and Rowan in this one. Next up is Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolf, and I'm not gonna lie, this first caught my eye because of just the gorgeous edition. It has sprayed edges and this beautiful end papers on the special edition. It is still available, and both this book and the previous book are on sale on Amazon for only $16. So they're the same price as this 50% off that I got from Barnes & Noble. This one is a little bit outside of my normal genres, so it's kind of a sci-fi, also type of romantasy. It's got a little bit of everything, it sounds like. And I am in part of the Entangled / Red Tower Books Facebook group, so I've seen this pop up a lot in there. People adore it and are just completely swept away by this story. It does have more of a sci-fi aspect, so I think it's a little bit different from what a lot of us normally read in our fantasy books, but it sounds like it has the same fast-paced action and characters that you're absolutely going to fall for. It's a little hard to tell from the description what is actually happening in this story. So we get our main character, Sonali, and she has murdered the duke of one of the powerful houses in this world. Sonali is this duke's bastard daughter, and she was supposed to die alongside of her mother. So she's kind of exacting her revenge now on this world. And to do that, she's riding this machine called Heavenbreaker, which is an enormous machine left over from the war. And now she's jousting against the fiercest nobles in the system. So each win that she gets with this machine means that another one of her enemies dies. So this is all happening in space, and it basically says as she kind of gets to know this machine that she's working with, and she finds out that she's kind of falling for it. So I don't know if there's some AI involved or someone else inside of this machine. So I don't really know what's going on with all of that, but it sounds very intriguing. But then there's also something else kind of threatening her, something horrifying, something more, and it won't be stopped. So she also sounds like she's dealing with this other threat to her life. And on the back it says I cannot stop death, but I can make it think twice. So this sounds like it's full of action. It's definitely a bit different from normal fantasy, but I like that sci-fi aspect. And based on the reviews that I've heard, I'm really excited to read this one. Next up is a book that I received from Bramble Publishing, and this one is called Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Resch. This is the second book in her Royals and Romance series. So the first one is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which you might have seen kind of floating around this past holiday season. It had bright red sprayed edges, and the final version of this is going to have like bright green sprayed edges. It comes out on March 11th of 2025, so you can still grab that special edition now. But in the first one, we deal with the Prince of Christmas and the Prince of Halloween, who kind of fall in love despite their holidays being at odds. So we're kind of picking up with a different section of that story. This time we're focusing on the spare Prince of Christmas. So his name is Chris, and he's the younger brother of the main character from the first book. One of the interesting things about this that I was reading through the synopsis is that in the first book, Chris was like madly in love with Iris, who was a princess of Easter. But now obviously we've got like two male main characters on the front cover. I'm curious what goes on in Chris's mind as he starts to get over this love for Iris and maybe realize that it wasn't exactly what he thought it was, and it was just kind of filling a void for now. In Go Luck Yourself, we are introduced to the Prince of St. Patrick's Day, which honestly sounds fantastic because he's got an Irish accent. The basis for this story is that someone has been stealing Christmas's joy, and the only clue that they have is that there have been little shamrocks left behind. So obviously this points to St. Patrick's Day as the culprit. And Chris is sort of sent in as an emissary to pretend that they're, trying to just build relations with St. Patrick's Day, but really he's investigating like what's going on and if they are really the culprits who are stealing Christmas's joy. But as it turns out, when he meets Prince Lachlan, he finds out that he is the mysterious student who he's been at war with at Cambridge for ages. They attempt to play nice with each other for the tabloids, but Chris can't seem to get over the fact that he just wants to like smash Lachlan's face in. And the annoying thing is that he's ridiculously hot too. As Chris spends more time with Lachlan and gets to understand more about the St. Patrick's Day holiday, who they've never really had much contact with before, he starts to realize that there's kind of more behind this mystery of the stolen magic than he thought, and that maybe this situation isn't as straightforward as he thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed the first book in the series. It's a really fun take on holidays that you do not have to read like around Christmas or around St. Patrick's Day. And it's got that obviously little bit of fantasy element because these are magical people and magical holidays, but it really focuses more on the romance between them. Next up is Into the Woods by Jenny Holiday, and a huge thanks to Forever for sending this my way. This just came out on January 7th, so you can grab it now and have it to read right away. This will be a great book if you're looking to kind of escape the doldrums of winter and want to pretend that you can actually get outside or enjoy the sunshine, since this book takes place at a summer camp. Our main character, Gretchen, is ready to take a break from dating, so when she gets an offer to be the dance instructor at a summer camp, she's excited for this opportunity. But every forest has its pests, and this one turns out to be Teddy Knight, who is a rock star whose band has just broken up. Because of this, Teddy is ridiculously grouchy, and Gretchen is happy to ignore him, except for the unexpected heat that she feels around him. Somehow, kind of a wary friendship starts to bloom between them, but it definitely turns into something more as they start sneaking around for their own summer fling. The real question will be, by the end of the book, are they ready to take this romance outside of camp, or is it just a one-time thing during the summer? I really enjoyed Jenny's last book, Canadian Boyfriend. I listened to it on audio, and it was narrated by Joshua Jackson, which was just perfection. But since I'm such a big fan of hers, I was really excited to get this one, and I think it'll be fun to kind of take a break from winter and dive into a summer camp setting. On a completely different note, I received The Perfect Home by Daniel Kennitz. This one is from Scribner, and it also came out on January 7th, so you can also grab this one if you're interested. This is supposed to be a mix between like the Fixer Upper home improvement show and Gone Girl. So this is definitely like a psychological thriller, but it has that home improvement show aspect. And I love both of those things, so I think the combination is going to be really interesting. Our two main characters are Dawn and Wyatt, and they are a husband and wife couple who work together on a home renovation reality show called The Perfect Home. Dawn is more of the salty and sassy foil to her husband Wyatt's like sweet, charming personality. But Wyatt is searching for greater fame, and Dawn is more happy with the level that they're at and doesn't want to get too involved in the media. So when she discovers her husband's plot to manufacture a tragedy in order to skyrocket their celebrity status, Dawn takes their infant twins and goes on the run. Wyatt, with his, more charming personality, appears on television and kind of makes a plea to the public, telling his side of the story and making Dawn out to be some like horrible kidnapper. Even her closest friends start to believe him, and she's left fighting for her life and also to keep her twins safe. This is told in dual perspectives between Dawn and Wyatt, and I'm really excited to see kind of how he spins the story and then how she's able to uncover the truth and try and prove her own innocence. The last book I have to share is called Frenemies with Benefits by Lydia Sharp. This one's definitely more of a lighthearted YA romance. Jess is our main character who has never been able to talk to boys or feel any sort of normal around them, but she is ready to do whatever it takes to get the attention of her longtime crush, Andrew. But she's going to need some help along the way. So she enlists Benjamin Oliver, who is a hot jock, but also kind of nerdy, and she wants him to help her figure out how to talk to Andrew and win him over. So they create this bargain where Benjamin will agree to help Jess over the course of the summer. But as these things go, Jess and Benjamin start to develop something of their own, and suddenly she's not sure who she is actually falling for. This type of character, especially fresh out of high school and just trying to figure out her way in the world, is always so easy to root for. And I love when what starts out as just a business transaction, someone that she never thought she'd be interested in, turns into more of a friendship and then something more. Let me know in the comments which one of these I should start with, or if you've read any of them, what your thoughts were, and stay tuned for more bookish videos in the future.